Hi, I'm Michelle. I'm your paint expert at Home Building Center in Lindsay. And today I'm here to talk about staining and all the steps to get a beautiful finish. It's just really important that you actually sand any loose, if you're redoing your deck, you're going to have loose pieces of stain that might be flaking off. Also, if it's fresh wood, you want to make sure you give it a really good sand. It just helps prepare the surface and the stain to penetrate into the wood evenly. Right now I'm just using like a sanding block because I find it easier to hold on to, but this is about, I think it's a 200, 220 grit, so just something fine, just to take the top off. So there's a lot to learn about stains, but we have basically here in the Beauty Tone Wood Shield line, we have our acrylic, which is 100% acrylic, which is water-based. It's a little bit thicker, and it has a little more mold and mildew protection in it, and it comes in a solid and a semi-transparent. And it's a little more forgiving when you're putting it on wood that might be a little bit damp, that hasn't completely dried out yet. We also have a hybrid, which we call it, but it's basically an oil and an acrylic, and it's a little thinner than the 100% acrylic, but again, it works really well. If you don't know what was previously on your deck, then it's compatible, right, with what, if it was oil or latex that was put on previously. On a deck surface, you're always looking at yearly maintenance. It usually, just because Canada, the weather around here is so cold and damp that it does tend to, maybe you have to redo it every year. But on uprights, any sidings, fences, all that stuff, it can last years and years and years, as long as it's applied properly. Okay. And then lastly, we do have an oil, which is a true oil. It's more expensive, but it does last a little bit longer. It really soaks into the wood and really brings out the grain. Now the thing about that one is the wood has to be basically bone dry to apply that. So a lot of the times it's not really for the best application. Rule of thumb is, we always say here at the building center, brush is best. And that's because when you're using a brush, it has the bristles and you can really work it into the wood. We've got the first coat on here, so I'm probably gonna wait about an hour, and then I'm gonna apply a second coat. And then 72 hours for a full cure, and that does depend on the humidity and stuff like that. And apparently when darker colors are used, it does take a little bit longer for them to dry. We have a brand new book out this year we're very excited about, and we have some new stain colors that are available that have never been available before. So we have our semi-transparent line, which you can see the wood grain through, and then we have our solid, which looks like paint, but it's actually stain. So today for this bench, we've decided to go with the semi-transparent Atlantic. It's like a turquoise blue, and we think it'll pair really well.
So we actually brought in about 20 of these benches, and they were built by the woodshop students at St. Thomas Aquinas High School. And they built them actually originally for the plowing match, and then when that unfortunately got canceled, they were stuck with quite a few benches. So they asked if we could sell them at the building center, and we actually only have a couple left. They've been selling like crazy.